Okay, so 16.3 in Ross, this is where we get into the uses of the participle. 16.3. He describes that section as the syntax of the active participle. Take a look here at the forms I have, and we're using barach, which means to bless, for the participle forms, borech. Okay, look at what I have. Ha'ish haborech. Ha'ish haborech. The translation of this is the blessing man. Literally, the man, the blessing. This is a participle, it's active, and so I'm going to use the ing form, the man, the blessing. And notice that the participle follows the noun and agrees with it in gender, number, and definiteness. This is typical of an attributive adjective, right? And what did we say? What was my mantra a little earlier? A participle is a verbal adjective. And so it can function the way adjectives do. If you remember that adjectives have three functions, then participles, because they're verbal adjectives, have three functions as well. The same three. They can be attributive, they can function as predicate adjectives, or they can be substantival. All right? So here we see that it is the attributive use. The man, the blessing, is the blessing man. Who's being modified or described by the participle? Ha'ish. Who's doing the action? Who's doing the blessing? Ha'ish, right? Because whatever the participle modifies, if it's active, that thing or person is doing the participle verb action. Over here, I have ha'ish borech. Here, the participle is after the noun, but it does not agree in definiteness, does it? So this cannot be attributive. This is what we would call a predicate adjective or a predicate participle, since we're using a participle here. And I've got to add the word is or are. The man is blessing. The man is blessing. And then in this third use, I have haborech sham. The blessing, masculine singular, here. What am I missing? Well, I'm missing a copula for one, and I'm missing the word one. I know that this is a masculine singular form because there's no ending. The blessing man or the blessing one, whatever is blessing, is a masculine singular entity. And here it's functioning as the subject of the sentence, right? And that's a substantival use. So participles as verbal adjectives can do what any other old adjective can do. Be an attributive adjective, be a predicate adjective, be a substantival one. So if we walk through the handout here, I'll just again lay it out and remind you. Attributive participles follow the noun. You remember the word after and the word attributive both begin with a, and they agree with the noun in gender, number, and definiteness. Predicate participles will focus more on the verbal idea of the participle, and they are always anarthrous. Anarthrous. An is the prefix that means no or not. Okay? Arthrous means article bearing. So, no article. Let's go back. Ha'ish borech. Ha'ish is articular. Borech is anarthrous, no article. Okay? Predicate participles can never take the article. So the man is blessing. There's a couple of things about predicate participles that you need to know. Number 3 here is that they are atemporal. There, the a prefix means not. They are not temporal. They do not have any inherent time value. They are timeless. So when I say, ha'ish borech, the man, blessing. What is the tense of that? It can be anything. It could be the man is blessing, the man was blessing, or the man will be blessing. Okay? What will determine which tense value the participle has? The context. Exactly. So if I'm talking in past time narrative, I'm relating a story about what somebody did, and then I said, and then, ha'ish borech, you would want to translate that past. The man was blessing the children. Okay? All right. And then number 4, participles are impersonal. They do not mark person, they only mark gender and number. And that's why they only use the noun and adjective endings, because those give gender and number. But they're not person. There is no first, second, or third person participle. Okay? And I'm going to give you a couple of examples to really help you understand this. Let's take the word pokade, which means to visit, and it's the participle visiting. And take the pronoun who. What does who mean? He. And then pokade. I have to use which gender and number of the participle based on who as the subject. What gender and number is who? Yes, this is third masculine singular. So if I want to say he is visiting, I have to use the masculine singular form, don't I? So who pokade? He is visiting. What if I want to say I am visiting and I am a man? I'm going to use ani as one of my pronouns. Okay, first common singular. And which form of pokade would I use if I, Dr. Marshall, am the speaker and I'm masculine singular? I would use the same. Okay, so it would be pokade. Okay, so he is visiting. Who pokade? Ani pokade. I am visiting. Notice that the forms of pokade here are identical to each other. They're the masculine singular participle. Okay, even though the subjects are different persons. Third person for who, first person for I. Okay. My participles do not specify the number of the subject as first, second, or third person. It only gives me the gender. I'm sorry, it doesn't give the person of the subject. It only gives the gender and the number. Gender being masculine or feminine, number singular or plural. Okay? On the other hand, just to clarify this a little bit more, if I wanted to use the cow perfect with these same pronouns, what would I have? Who, pa, cod, right? He visited, past time. And I visited would be ani, what? Pa, cod, ti. Remember pakati? So, 3MS, subject, 3MS perfect, right? 1CS subject for ani. What do I have to use for the perfect? The 1CS personal ending. Okay? Why? Because the perfect conjugation marks person, gender, and number. Participles only mark gender and number. That's why I don't have a separate form, even if the subjects are different persons here. Okay? So you'll see more of this as we go on. Finally, substantival participles, these function like nouns. So there will often be an article with these. The blessing one, the visiting one, the running one, and so forth. So they'll usually function like nouns. And in English, you can translate them in a number of ways. You could say he who does this, she who does something, the one who does this, or based on the gender, you could say the man who does something, or the woman who does something. Okay? So let me just walk you through a couple of examples here. Do you remember the word shofet? What's that mean? We learned this way back, probably 10 chapters ago. Shofet. What's that? No? It's a judge. Remember judge? Okay, look at the vowel pattern for shofet. Holem with root 1, sere with root 2. This is actually from the verb shafat. He judged. Shafat. A shofet is a judging one. It's masculine singular. A judging one equals a judge, right? One who judges would be another way to translate it. One who judges. Or he who judges. Okay? So, those are ways to translate that substantival participle. Now, let's do another one. Let's say something like ha borech halach el ha'ir. Okay, there's my participle. It is articular, got a OA ending or vowel pattern. It does not follow any noun that it agrees with in gender, number, and definiteness, so it can't be an attributive one. I have a verb, halach, not a copula or a missing copula. Can't be a predicate participle, especially also because predicate participles are never articular. This has to be a substantival participle. So how am I going to translate this? Borech is masculine singular. So it's the blessing. What? It's masculine singular. The blessing one, or the blessing man, which sounds kind of funny, doesn't it, in English? So we will probably want to resort to one of these sort of translations. He who blesses, okay? Or the one who blesses. What about the one who blesses? What is this participle functioning as a substantival participle? Well, it's the subject of the verb halach, isn't it? He who blesses went or walked where? To the city, right? So this whole thing, he who blesses, represents ha borech, and it is the subject. The blesser went to the city. The man who blesses went to the city. He who blesses went to the city. The one who blesses went to the city. The blessing one went to the city. All those are ways to translate the substantival participle. Okay? So there you go. In 16.4, Ross introduces us to the pronominal suffixes attached to the sign of the accusative. Okay? Sometimes I like to refer to this as the direct object marker. Okay, so we'll call it the direct object marker, sign of the accusative with pronominal suffixes. Now, if you take a look at the pronominal suffixes that you have here, otho, otha, otaha, othach, othi, are these the set 1 or the set 2 pronominal suffixes? Are they the pronouns that we normally attach to singular nouns or plural nouns? The singular. So these are the set 1 pronouns, okay? So the sign of the accusative is eighth without the makef, et with it, okay? And remember, we don't translate it. We don't translate the direct object marker. Whenever we have a pronominal suffix attached to the direct object marker, we still don't translate the direct object marker, but we do translate the pronoun that's attached to it. Okay, so let's use our violent language here. Katal Moshe. What does that mean? Okay, we're going to put the verb first, subject second. So this is Moses killed. Katal Moshe. I know you want to kill Moses, but stop. No. So Moses killed, And then I might say something like et, and then Jesus. Okay, so Moses killed the horse. All right? Now, that's one way to write that. Moses killed et Jesus the horse. Do not translate the et. That's only marking the definite direct object. Now, what if instead of wanting to say Moses killed the horse, I wanted to say Moses killed it? Moses killed it. What would I do? Well, I'd still use my verb, katal, Moshe. All right, but now I'm going to say it. What do I have to do? Well, I want to use the direct object marker, and I want to add the pronominal suffix. This is a masculine singular noun, so it will be a third masculine singular pronoun, which will be a holem vav. And what happens here is, and this is the important part, is that the vowel patterns are going to be different than what you learned as your basic form of the direct object marker. Usually you think sere or segal, et or et, but here I'm going to get a holem, okay? And it's going to be otho, otho. So this is Moses killed it, or him, okay? 3ms pronoun. If I wanted to say Moses killed it and it refers to the mare, what would I use? Not oto, but what? Look at your paradigm. Ota, exactly. The third feminine singular pronoun, right? Moses killed it. All right. So let's look at the forms here, and we'll read them together. Ready? Otho. So him or it. Remember, we're not translating the ot part, just the pronoun. Otah. So her or it. Otaha. Othaha is you. So Moses killed you before you could kill him. Otach. So Moses killed you, woman. And othi, me, as a direct object. And on the plural side, otham and othan. This both means them, but one of them's masculine. Which one? Yes, the one with the M, right? Masculine, M, mem, at the end. Etchem and etchen is y'all, plural, masculine then feminine. And then othanu is us. Moses loves us. Moses loves othanu. Okay? So the thing that can be confusing here is knowing the difference between when the et is the direct object marker versus the preposition that means with. Do you remember that we've actually have gotten two words, et, which is the direct object marker, and then et, which means with. Can you tell the difference? When they are without the pronominal suffix, you can't. They are identical to each other. Both of them look this way, and they both of them get the segol when we put the makef on them. Okay? So when there's no pronominal suffix, you cannot tell the difference, and the only thing you can go on is the context. Does this verb that I see this with, is it a transitive verb? Does it take a direct object? If it doesn't, then I'm going to want to translate that et as with. Okay? Now, when we add pronominal suffixes, we can tell the difference. I'm going to give you a couple of forms to show you the difference here. We just talked about otho, and I want you to contrast this with this form, which we saw in chapter 15. Ito. Otho, ito. What's otho? This is him as a direct object. Ito is the preposition with, plus the 3ms pronoun. With him. Look at this next one. O-tha. Compare that with it-ta. You see the difference here? Okay. Ota is her as a direct object. I love her. Ota. Ita is with her. Okay? Now, if I had the Hebrew verb I love followed by ita, would that make any sense? Probably not. I love with her? Nah. Why? Because love is transitive and I expect a direct object, right? So I would be expecting to see ota with I love. So knowing your verb and its meaning will help you disambiguate these two if you forget how to tell the difference. But here's the real deal, okay? How do I tell the difference between with someone as a pronoun versus the direct object with the pronoun? This is the big deal. If the tav, what kind of a dot is that in the tav? No, mapik is in a final hey. It's a dagesh. Now, tav is a begad kefat letter, so tavs can have a dagesh lene. But how do I know this can't be a dagesh lene? There is a vowel before it, and the dagesh is still there. So that's a dagesh forte, right? So, if tav occurs with dagesh forte, then guess what? It equals with. Okay? Do you see a dagesh forte in otho? In the tav? Otha? Nope. And if you walk through every form of the direct object marker with the pronouns in this little section, you would not see a dagesh forte in the tav at all. Okay? But if you flipped back to chapter 15, like go to 15.7, in Ross 15.7, every form of the preposition with pronouns has a dagesh forte in the tav. Okay? So if the tav has a dagesh forte, if it occurs with the dagesh forte, it is the preposition with. Otherwise, it is the direct object marker. All right? So that's how you can tell the difference. It's also the case that the vowel under the aleph is usually a Keurig, or an I-class vowel. But that isn't fail-safe, because even with the direct object marker, the second masculine plural and second feminine plural y'all is ethem, and that sigil is an I-class vowel too. Okay? So the I-class vowel is not the essential thing. It's that tav having the dagesh forte. That means it's with. Alrighty. Good. Well, we'll stop there.